Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Joy. We're from WCTU, the Women's Christian Temperance Union, and today we're going to talk about drugs. What do I mean by drugs? Bad drugs, illicit drugs, drugs that the doctor does not prescribe. Joy, can you tell us something about this serious topic?
Well, I'll do my best, Connie. Do you know that drugs have become worse over the past 30 years? When I was young, we didn't really hear about them. But now, of course, my children and my grandchildren will hear a lot about them. They've become so readily available, and they are actually a curse all across the world. There are so many to mention. I'm just going to mention a few names that I know about: marijuana, cannabis, hallucinogens, ecstasy, cocaine, methamphetamines, heroin, and other names such as ice, grass, pot, hash, weed, reefer, dope, herb, mull, Buddha, ganja, joint, Mary Jane, and many others. I'm not an expert on this.
Wow.
But just think, we talk about this, we're talking about bad drugs today.
Yeah, that sounds like too much to comprehend, Joy.
It is really. It is a bit much.
A bit confronting, yeah. Where does one begin to talk about or even to think about how to address it all?
Well, I too agree with you. It's a very sad subject, but the sad thing, I know that some of my friends' children have died.
Oh.
Yeah, because of overdoses or mixtures that went wrong. Others now have mental problems and have caused great trouble in their own families, and they're my very close friends. And of course, some of the children with the mental problems are now in their 40s and early 50s. Their mothers have been brokenhearted and still are. Do you know that the United Nations has reported that there were 250 million people in the world?
That's a lot, isn't it?
Yes,
a lot.
that were addicted to illicit drugs. And of course, by now, probably many more, even up to 500 million, they say.
That's
a lot of people.
Too many, isn't it?
Oh, awful.
Well, I think we just need a few facts about these drugs and what they do and don't do. Different drugs do different things, which is understandable. Some make us hyper or more active and stir up our brains. Some mess up our brains so that we imagine all sorts of things. We hallucinate and become paranoid. Some slow us down and we can just sleep, or our heart and brain slow down and we can die. Others make us feel fantastic, like we could fly. And of course, when we try, we crash and die.
And we hear about people doing that. My thoughts of this, I believe that the research tells us that the best way for people to avoid those problems is just to learn to say no in the first place, the first time they're offered. That's one of the main things we teach.
Never
in
start.
Never start.
Yeah.
The other thing that's very important for people to know, I think, in society, that children actually can be very resilient and say no when the temptation comes if they've been really loved and nurtured by someone. Even if it's not always the parent, if it's an aunt or an uncle or a grandparent or even a friend in the street. If we know and love those children, take notice of them, those children end up becoming quite resilient in the face of all these sorts of temptations.
A lot to do with self-esteem.
Yes, very much so. And so it really begins very close to us and to our families and to our children that we know. So WCTU advocates knowing the children in your family well and really loving them. This is other people besides the parents.
Right.
Even knowing the children on your street. I've got a little boy who lives next door to me, and he's 5, Flynn, and we love him. I'm not his family member, but we talk to him, we take notice of him, and hopefully we'll know him as he grows up.
Yes.
That will be helping him to be resilient.
Yes.
This has been proven. So research in Australia, actually, the other thing about this is, it tells us that 4 out of 5 kids in Australia actually don't take drugs. So we have quite a good society probably in caring for our children in our streets, in our communities, in our churches. We know our children, so that's a wonderful thing. If children are loved and cared for, they're less likely to turn to drugs to escape their problems. And of course, loved and happy children and happy youth have far fewer troubles.
They do indeed. And you know, Joy, drug lords and peddlers, these are the people who sell the drugs and they make some money out of the drug addicts who are quite poor and miserable. It's that's so wrong and unfair, isn't it?
Extremely.
That they could
just ruin
prey
lives.
on these,
Yes.
people that
Vulnerable
are vulnerable.
people.
Yes,
Vulnerable
that's
people.
right.
Do you know, in some countries, and I'm sure probably most people know this in Australia now, that if you take drugs into another country in a court, you can be imprisoned for life.
Yes.
And some, of course, the death penalty.
Yes.
And I know of such people. I remember a dear boy I knew many years ago in Tasmania. A beautiful child he was, and very good parents. But somehow he got caught up in the drug trafficking and was captured in one of the countries in Asia. He went to prison for life.
Yes.
I have a friend who used to visit him sometimes to see him, but how tragic.
Yes.
How absolutely tragic.
Yes.
So, but if you want to know more about this and help in any of this area and want to read more, look again at our website,
Yes.
which is on our...
There are many resources on
Yes,
our website,
yes.
aren't there, Joy?
And the
these
main
are-
thing is, I think also, get help if you're in this category.
Yes,
Get help for your
absolutely.
children, for yourself, before you die.
Yes. We don't want people to die. We want people to be educated and know how to say no. These are some of the resources on our website that parents, teachers, or individuals can access. There's one there on marijuana, wonderfully illustrated, and lots of information that is current. There's stuff on alcohol, resources on alcohol, and what it does to the organs in a body, including the brain. That's very important.
So what's the bottom line to all this, Connie?
The bottom line, Joy, is that we need to say no. We need to teach people how to say no to the DAT poisons, drugs, alcohol and smoking. We just need to let them know that they can
Just
just
say
say
no.
no.